buying commercial property for private practice is a lot more complex than, say, buying residential property to live in or just for investment. And first thing to take note of with medical assets, there can be two types generally of property assets that you can consider for commercial use. You can have a traditional residential property, which might be an older period or character home, often because they've got larger rooms, wider hallways, and they tend to convert really well. And they're generally on main roads in most cases, which is permittable use from a zoning point of view stacks up, and the ability to convert them is quite easy, often on larger blocks with car parking as well. Or there's more of a traditional commercial retail or freestanding commercial building. And all of them have got different considerations. And I think the first thing that a lot of doctors need to understand when you're going after any of these types of properties is there's always a shortage of supply. So it can take a lot longer. So the time frame is probably the first thing you need to take note of, because if you set out to acquire an asset for commercial use and you've got a 3-month or a 6-month window to get set up and started, you may find that you don't have an adequate stock levels to be able to the right site. Those residential properties on main roads, if they're character, they could be protected and harder to get through planning. If they're not character homes and they're not protected assets, they might be great development sites. And therefore, there's developers that want to build apartments or townhouses, and they're paying significant premiums, and they have a higher return on investment than what you do, converting it to a medical centre. So very competitive and low stock levels. When you're looking at more retail assets or freestanding buildings, often the challenge can be price point and, once again, supply. And I'd say the other one with retail would be car parking, because generally speaking, a lot of the old retail strips are more for purchase of goods than they were for services. And naturally, if you've got 3 to 4 patients an hour coming to the site for 4 to 6 doctors, there's a really heavy foot traffic that's coming through that site, and a lot of parking that's required. So council might say they've got no issues with you operating from that location, but you might think, well, look, the patient experience is inadequate. On the freestanding commercial building side, often it can just be a budget thing. Commercially zoned sites often have the ability to develop up to multiple levels. So even if it's a single level site, it has development scope that's quite significant. So the ability to buy that site at a level where you just occupy one floor, for example, for your medical centre, can create some risk if you're up against other developers who are paying more money than you. So on the commercial side and the residential side, there's definitely some considerations around price point and development scope and permitted use. And I think the other thing to be really mindful of is obviously the structural integrity of those buildings and the ability to convert it to a medical centre adequately. So you really need a great property advisor, a great lawyer, a great architect, and you also need a great town planner. And you need them all working together to make sure that site is going to work for your business.